In the automotive dealer news this week, there's a press release that the National Automobile Dealers Association and the Texas Automobile Dealers Association, there we go, Texas, always suing for our freedoms, has won a lawsuit to vacate the FTC's vehicle shopping rule. And like everything the government does, they had a cute little acronym for it. And the acronym was CARS. I don't even remember what it stood for, but it doesn't matter. Consumer Auto Retail Services or something like that.
It was one of the things, Doug, you made me read so much to prepare for podcast this week. Very much. It feels like, though, I'm not really spoiling anything. It felt like they had the acronym and then they had to make something to fit it. Is what it
always.
was. Like what
always.
So while you go into this, I'm going to refresh my bourbon because I need a little bit more to go through this again.
Okay. I am not going to read the entire article or press release or what this is because it is so long, like everything government does. However, what the FTC was essentially trying to do, CARS, combating auto retail scams. That's what it was.
That's pretty good, though.
It's trying to usher in, quote, a new era of transparency in car buying and leasing. Most importantly, the rule explains how long-standing principles of truth in advertising and fair dealing apply when people go car shopping. Now, they claim that this is all about the consumers, that they're establishing standards and truth and transparency, and basically making it easier for consumers to see when dealers are honest or dishonest. It also said there was a big win for honest industry members, right? They're trying to sell it to everybody because it will level the playing field and give the honest dealers an edge against these shady dealers who are not doing what they're supposed to do. This all sounds really good. And as one of those self-proclaimed honest and transparent dealers, I'm like, yeah, that's great. However, I also don't like excessive government intervention and stuff, right? Excessive government regulations, red tape, paperwork, etc. Now, they say that the CARS rule accomplishes their goals without requiring consumers or dealers to fill out more paperwork. I doubt it. So, just reading this guide of the goals of what they're trying to do is crazy. Basically, it's talking about excess fees, selling people things that they don't need, selling people things and telling them that it's required, these add-ons, when they're not. Fair advertising, clear disclosures of prices and fees, clear disclosures of finance charges, of finance rates. If you're paying attention in the auto industry, all of these things are already regulated and mandated.
That is the thing that I just kept thinking over and over again as I was reading this, is like, this all sounds great. It also sounds really fluffy. They're using a lot of words to not say very much, to finally get to the point, but none of this is new. It all felt, and I'm not an expert, you kind of have to be as a dealer. It all just felt like stuff that was either well known or already regulated against, or there's already consumer protection things out there. Like, what was the point of all this?
Exactly. It was, the point of it was, as they said, that it was packaging it up and standardizing it such that it was straightforward and in basically one rule. And again, they claim no extra paperwork, no extra work. So if you want to read the entire article, I've given you a brief flyover of the standards and the goals. We'll put the link in the show notes, but I'm going to go through and pick apart why. And when I went into this, I wasn't sure. I wasn't automatically for or against it. I read all of it and said, okay, I'm a dealer, but I'm also kind of a consumer advocate on the podcast. I believe in fair dealings. And I'm like, where am I going to land on this? Came out 100% against it. So glad that it was struck down. So here's why. Part of the push for this bill was, quote, what the FTC has observed in decades of law enforcement actions that unscrupulous dealerships have used illegal tactics to close a deal, conduct that costs consumers time and money and puts honest dealers at an unfair disadvantage. So they said right there, illegal tactics. That means the things are already illegal. My biggest problem with new laws is a lot of times the same goals could be accomplished by enforcing the laws already on the books. There's a parallel here, but I'm not going to get into it because it's other politics things. So don't make new laws that drown consumers and dealers in additional disclosure forms, because honestly, that could have the opposite effect. The more documents you have to sign, the less you look at them. We're already regulated.
I was hitting page down faster as we kept going through this document. I was like, okay.
Yeah. That's why you have to initial every page of the document, because people just scroll to the bottom if you don't.
I accept these terms and conditions, Doug.
I don't know what they are, but I accept them. We're already regulated by the FTC. We've covered on this podcast multiple multi-million-dollar settlements that have happened enforcing these laws that are on the books. We're regulated by state laws, truth in lending laws, consumer affairs departments. For heaven's sakes, I have a 26-page document that is the state of Ohio's laws that just regulates how we advertise vehicles. This is 26 pages before the consumer gets in our door. Online pricing, advertising of pricing, options, finance rates, specials. It is insane. 26 pages just for the state of Ohio.
Which, like, on one hand, sweet. There is something out there, ideally, making it more difficult to take advantage of some undereducated consumers, potentially, or people who can't, whatever. But also, that's a lot. That's a lot to wade through. It's a lot to understand when you're putting together an advertisement or whatever else that is in good faith, but you want to make sure that you don't step over any lines.
Right. But if you're not operating in good faith now, you're not going to when this standard comes out either. Another quote, the CARS rule also is a big win for honest industry members who already implement the rules, principles of truth and transparency at their dealerships, end quote. No, it's not. If the laws are already on the books and people are already flouting them, all the law does is make it more difficult and cumbersome for the honest dealers to maintain compliance. If we're doing it already, don't codify it. Let us keep doing it. The biggest claim that I had an issue with, because nothing government does is efficient or paperwork free. They said that they're solidifying and clarifying rules already on the books and that no additional paperwork burden will be on the dealers. Complete hogwash. It states just a few paragraphs later that dealers must get consumers express informed consent before charging them for anything, and that dealers must keep records of this. Well, records.
Oh my goodness. That's
electronic
a piece of
paper. That's work. Yeah.
Does it say how long you need to keep these?
I believe it was 2 years.
Okay.
24 months for most of this. In another section, quote, dealers must retain copies of all consumer inquiries related to add-ons. Inquiries.
Related to add-ons?
Yes.
What if you're sitting there at the table and say, "Hey, Doug, what's this?" You would never do this, but what's this super special ceramic paint or paint protection?
No,
that's
I gotta record that inquiry.
Okay. Do I need to initial it?
Well, that's the thing. If it's verbal, then we have to give you a verbal disclosure. If you do it in writing, then we have to give you a written disclosure.
Is this like this call may be monitored kind of thing you got to tell us?
Right. But here's the thing. How do you keep a record of a verbal disclosure? How do you monitor that? How do you police that? If because the as-is form, right? It says to the effect of, it doesn't matter what the dealer told you, this is the final disclosure. The car is sold as is. Even if the dealer implied something or told you something verbally, doesn't matter. You're signing this as-is form, right? So a dealer is going to tell you anything. Oh yeah, they verbally assented to that. How do you prove that?
If there's anything that I need to bring up later for receipts, I get an email or a text message or like
gosh.
because verbal stuff is so wishy-washy.
Here's the only thing I like about this. Quote, under the CARS rule, a dealer may not charge for an add-on product or service if the consumer wouldn't benefit from it. That's a big gray area there. Examples include charges for nitrogen-filled tires that contain no more nitrogen than naturally exists in the air. Other examples are add-ons that don't provide coverage for the vehicle, the consumer, or the transaction, or are duplicative of the car's warranty coverage. It would be illegal for a dealer to charge consumers for a gap agreement, a term the CARS rule defines, if the consumer's vehicle or neighborhood is excluded from coverage or the loan-to-value ratio means the consumer won't benefit financially from the product or service. For example, you get gap coverage to cover your negative equity, but you put 50% down on the car. Which I'm on board with this one. Remember what we covered before? The Toyota EV that they were charging for catalytic converter protection?
Yeah, okay.
That would be illegal. Which I feel like it probably is already anyway.
Would this also prevent, because I feel like, and I might be misremembering, so this could be a me thing. It feels like we have seen breakdowns where there are multiple paint protection options. There's like a film and a ceramic coating, and then the more different coating that is like probably ceramic, but it's not called that.
Different brands and
like, does this cover that?
In theory, it would. Yes,
it's going to be an onion.
How do you determine whether or not you benefit? Right? Salesmen will tell you it's all benefit. Yeah. I would be on board if they just took this part of it and made it its own rule. Like codified that. I think we all would be on board with the stupid add-ons that dealers try to charge you being regulated more, especially the ones you don't need. But we do not need to codify this entire thing when we're already regulated by all this stuff. Enforce the regulations on the books. Don't drown us in paperwork and disclosures and crap.
I mean, I don't really know how the inner workings of government and laws. I'm a layman. I know enough. Couldn't there be a thing where they put out some sort of release or summary that is like, here's all the existing crap. Follow this. This isn't new. There's not more paperwork, but like, here's this stuff. Let's get a refresher. Let's brush up.
Sure.
Stop trying to screw people over.
It differs state by state as well.
That's true.
So that's tough to regulate. That state sovereignty exists. Good things about it, bad things about it, but it does exist. And every state has different laws about selling cars and advertising and stuff like that. There are some federal rules that, hold precedent over these things. Precedent is not the right word there, but I was searching and didn't want delay. But, the as-is forms are federal. Those are the buyer's guides, whether or not there's a warranty. The odometer disclosure statements are federal because it's a big deal to roll back odometers. But then a lot of other things are essentially state by state. But like if you sign a finance contract at a dealership, they have to have on that form. I mean, it's like 5 pages of legal jargon. They show you the total amount you're paying for the loan, the total amount of interest, the total of payments, the interest rate. Like that stuff is already there. So if consumers aren't reading their contracts, they're not going to read these disclosures either. Like at the end of the day, I feel like this is just a big Surgeon General's warning on tobacco, right? It's not going to change a thing. It's just going to take up valuable time and space.
That was just a really good thing to end on. I wanted to leave you a little bit of silence so Ethan could have cut that. That was so good. I did find one thing, though, reading through this. Unfortunately, well, I guess it doesn't matter because it was struck down or paused or whatever the state is now.
Vacated.
It doesn't apply to track cars. It specifically says cars for road use only.
Well, there'll be race cars. We think of track cars as like...
Oh, well, yeah. But
it doesn't apply to motorcycles either.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I've never bought
right.
a motorcycle, but I've heard that's kind of like the slimiest part of the industry is like the Harley dealers and stuff. So,
and honestly, I had a buddy that tried to sell a motorcycle. He like bought it brand new, loved it for so many years, took great care of it. He took a massive loss. The like second-hand market for motorcycles might be worse than EVs.
Well, they're selling you add-ons that are entire outfits to go with. Like, can you imagine the disclosures that the motorcycle dealers would have to have? Well, he asked about a Harley jacket and Harley leather chaps, and
And these obviously benefit the rider, Doug.
Literal add-ons like a seat back and pegs and all that crap.
We need to get out of this
You
before
wouldn't
we
know it.
embarrass.
I used to be in the aftermarket motorcycle parts business. What? It went bankrupt. You can probably tell why. I'm pegs and stuff.
They got pegsandstuff.com.
I did know all the terms. I did.
I would not go to pegsandstuff.
Chrome bars.
What?
Arlen-ness.
All right.
Okay.
Next. Moving on. Let's get Doug out of this. Oh, my gosh. Whew. So because this Texas, was it a court in Texas? Some sort of judiciary?
Well, it was the National Auto Dealers Association and the Texas Auto Dealers Association.
So does
Fifth
this
Circuit Court?
Does it vacate for everybody now?
I guess so. I mean,
Weird.
it's done. So, yeah.
All right.
Props and flops brought to you by Switchcars.
And Switchcars, as you know, it is the enthusiast dealership where we buy, sell, and consign only cars that we like ourselves. Check out our handpicked inventory at thebeautifulswitchcars.com and mention SwitchCast for special pricing. There's also more information at switchcars.com, or you can swing by our very chilly and beautiful showroom in Twinsburg, Ohio.
The showroom is heated. It's chilly outside.
The showroom's real nice.
Pick of
Doug,
the week
yes.
is 2011 Mercedes CL550. Not our usual sporty car, but I brought it home, and my 8-year-old was like, "This car is so cool." When I took him to school, and I was like, "What makes it cool?" He's like, "It's so like modern and with the gray interior." And Tyler's rejoicing, and he thought the styling was cool, and I was like, "Well, it's not really modern. It doesn't even have Bluetooth audio, but whatever, cool."
He has taste, Doug. That's what we're talking.
Yeah.
Does he want a 2003 911 with 100,000 miles on it with a gray interior?
He likes the green, probably. He likes colors, but it does have massage seats, heated seats, cooled seats. All that. Well, I guess it's just massage driver seat, but yeah, it's like a Bentley for 20 grand,
That's legit.
It's great.
Yeah, this is good. This is a good time.
Flop of the week. Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spider gets repossessed at a car meet in California. That's right. One of these cars and coffee events. Everybody's parked out there, and a repo truck shows up. Boy, that was
Gosh, the video is so good. The Schadenfreude is so good.
He was clout chasing, and somebody was chasing him at the same time. It's now for sale already. This was about a month ago. It's for sale via Luxury Auto Collection in Arizona. So if you want a car with a little bit of a story. I'm reasonably sure this was a prior rental vehicle. It was in Las Vegas since almost new and had a lot of miles put on it. It was then sold by LV Cars Auto Sales East, which is a corner used car lot to sell some high-end cars, and they advertise that they can finance, quote, any type of credit.
Nice.
So it seems like maybe this was a foregone conclusion, this repo. VinWiki and Epic Vin were both helpful with a history on this car, and of course on Carfax, which is also decent, but there's no repossession or rental history listed there. So if you want to get a fuller picture of the history of the car you're buying, VinWiki, free service, Epic Vin is a paid service. Use our affiliate link in the description. So yeah, that was
nice.
That video was pretty good.
So good.
Yeah.
All right, Doug, prop of the week.
Prop of the week. News story out of Australia. A business owner gives cars a hosing down for parking illegally in his driveway. Now, we've seen this at downtown cities, right? People have their businesses have their designated parking spaces. We'll tow you if you park here because they want those parking spaces for their customers. But apparently this guy got tired of people parking in front of his driveway and blocking his employees' entrance. So he set up this sprinkler system and it would be on a camera. And so they'd activate it. It was like a high pressure sprinkler and it would soak people getting out of their cars or if their window was open, it would totally soak them. And
that's amazing.
Some people parked there anyway, and they just
free car wash,
made a run for it. But he said, he's still having the issue. So he's going to upgrade the system and increase the PSI significantly to where it might actually be painful.
He's going to have like a turret. It's just going to be a pressure washer.
I see. If this guy was in the States, I would totally go get a Mazda Miata and a Speedo and some like a swim cap and goggles and like pull up, park underneath it. Like, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. All right. SwitchCast trip to Australia. Let's go.
It's only a matter of time before somebody spins this the right way. Thank you for joining us for SwitchCast with Doug Tabbutt and Tyler Sanders, produced by Ethan Huffnagel. SwitchCast is an automotive entertainment and opinion show, and nothing we say should be taken very seriously. We do not give tax, investment, legal, emotional, or professional advice, and the only licenses we hold are driver's licenses. The opinions expressed on this show are exclusively held by the people pontificating at that moment and do not reflect the values of our producers or sponsors. Our theme music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. If you like this show, you can stream it in its entirety on your favorite audio podcast platform. Check out switchcast.live for more info.